So I don't understand, Minister, why you haven't grouped this question with my colleague Maureen O'Sullivan, who has an identical question down, and she's absolutely spearheaded this issue for a long period of time. The question is about the status of the dog breeding establishment guideline review. We put it forward because the legislation that's in place presently is just not effective. The enforcement of those regulations, poor and all as they are, is practically non-existent, and there's a big concern now that the review is not going to be completed. There were media reports about that, even though a lot of very good submissions have come in from the public. So we want to know where that's at and where regulation is in this very important area.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank Deputy Daly for the question. I'm not sure why it wasn't grouped. I don't know if that's us or somebody else, but I'll check that. But I mean, I've acknowledged the work Deputy Sullivan has done in this area on many occasions before, and we've had some debates with her here on it as well. And I appreciate you mentioning her as well. But I mean, I do recognise the work she's done here and her interest in this area as well. The Dog Breeding Establishment Act 2010 provides a robust regulatory framework for inter alia the licensing, the monitoring and the inspection of dog breeding establishments by local authorities, and where a serious and immediate threat exists to public health or animal health and welfare for the closure of such establishments. More generally, the enforcement of welfare standards regarding all animals is a matter for the Department of Agriculture and for their Minister there as well. A joint inspection regime of dog breeding establishments involving the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine and the local authority veterinary service was inaugurated in 2015 for the purpose of inspection and follow-up action. My department is in the process of reviewing the current dog breeding establishment guidelines in collaboration with the County and City Management Association's Dog Working Group. Following the production of a first draft revision of the guidelines, it was considered important to broaden the review of the guidelines to a more formal public consultation, both for quality assurance and to address the need for openness and inclusiveness. A wide-scale formal public consultative process commenced on the 1st of December 2016 and that closed on 28 February 2017. So my department is currently reviewing the feedback and data received through the process. And we expect the findings to be submitted to me in June 2017, and we will consider the matter carefully and without delay at that stage as well. So I can commit to you, it is going to be completed. That much I can guarantee from my end anyway, and it's certainly something that I have an interest in myself. And it was probably mainly because of Deputy Maureen O'Sullivan brought to my attention as well, and we'll try to make that as quickly as we can in the department that review. I understand the overall process has gone on at this stage nearly over 18 months, so I'd be happy to try to bring it to an end, and that's something that we'll do in the months ahead, if that's okay.
Deputy Daly.
Yeah. I think there will be some comfort taken from the fact that the review hasn't been shelved, because that was certainly a very genuine concern. I think it's precisely because there is not a robust regulatory regime in existence that the review of the guidelines is imminently necessary. There are 73 registered puppy farms in Ireland with at least 30,000 dogs being produced every year. That's 410 per misnamed puppy farm, because these aren't farms, they're industrial scale dog breeding establishments. Whereas the comparative figure in Britain is about 78 per farm. It's a hugely profitable concern. Many illegal farms exist as well. Welfare organisations have said some farms have more than 500 breeding dogs, while the DSPCA say it should be limited to 10 or less. We've become identified as Europe's puppy farm capital, which is certainly something we don't want to be. You will know that last August the BBC did a documentary which exposed the puppy farm industry, particularly in Cavan, and highlighted the lack of enforcement by Cavan County Council. This is imminently important, Minister, that the review would be completed, and actually that our standards will be updated, because they're certainly not fit for purpose presently.
Minister.
Well, again, that the review is going to happen, and I agree with you for all those reasons as well. And probably there's often confusion between the two different departments as well, of who is in control of this as well. But on this review, it's our department are leading that end of it, and I can certainly commit myself to it and my work to it over the next couple of months ahead as well. But the report is not on my desk yet. It will be there very, very soon, and I have no problem. We can discuss in this House here as well at that stage if need be as well to bring it forward. But I mean, it is, and again, the whole idea of having public consultation was to broaden the conversation around this area, because there's a lot of interest in this with the public as well, and I think a lot of different departments were represented on that working group. But I think it's key that we had the public consultation part of that too. It did delay it a little bit, but I think it was no harm, because I think the public need to be aware of these things as well and be part of that conversation. So hopefully we won't have any delays after that. And I have no problem when the report comes on my desk that we can discuss it further and try and implement it and make the changes necessary as well.
Thank you, Minister. Clare Daly.
This is a priority for him, and I believe that, and I'm glad for that. I think there were a lot of really good submissions made by the public, and it would be completely wrong if we weren't to take them into account. And the reason why they were made is that the present system isn't fit for purpose. I think in particular there needs to be a proactive approach in relation to issues such as the use of portable kennels, third-party sales, a ban on selling puppies under 8 weeks, adequate licence fees, the black market and the illegal selling of puppies, and critically the whole area of enforcement, or rather lack of enforcement, because what has been highlighted is a glaring inconsistency across different local authority areas, which has caused enormous problems in terms of the welfare of animals. And when you think of Ireland's reputation already being damaged in relation to the exports of greyhounds to China, we really are developing a very disreputable international reputation, and we do need to correct that urgently. And I think it is important that not just are the guidelines updated, but that the enforcement mechanism is substantially beefed up as well.
And Deputy, I just again commit to that as well. I haven't read all the submissions, but I will do that. Part of reading the report comes to my desk. I always look at the submissions as well, and I make sure we take them on board as we possibly can. And I mean, there's no reason why we can't have a discussion on the House and here, or certainly a committee as well, to tease through that. Because I agree with you. It doesn't often get much media coverage, but it's certainly a very, very important area, and it is damaging our reputation. I agree with that too, and it's probably become more of a priority. Probably in other issues going on over the last couple of years, it didn't always get the priority it needed to get, but I'm committing to that now, and with the review finished, there's no reason to delay acting in this area.